Ladies and gentlemen, it's my really great pleasure to welcome one of the veteran trainers of the Australian Security Academy, Miss Christine Badham, to tell us all about investigation equipment. Before you do that, Chris, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mike. Well, I've been in the business since 2009. And I really haven't looked back. So I've been licensed since 2006. I met Mike all those years ago, and we've remained in contact. And in 2009, when I was sort of ready to start my little business, when I could, I started, and I've never looked back. I never had to do any other job since, basically, and it's giving me a very good income. I've never, it's actually an exciting job because every job's different. And I think it's what people need to look at. You might get plenty of back injuries, neck injuries, you might get psychological injuries. However, they're all going to be different. And that's the most exciting part of this job. So to set yourself up, you will need to go out and purchase yourself some equipment. So what you will require is a laptop. And I use a Mac. Oops. Sorry. Right, I use a Mac. And then what you're also going to need to print out your statements is a printer. So that's the Canon. I think it's the 112 still, I think. And look, this is the second one I've purchased since 2009. So obviously nothing lasts. However, it's only been 2 since. So, they do last for a long time. It prints in colour. It's got Bluetooth on it, so you don't need to connect anything to it, straight into your computer, and then you print out your statements. Our job is to go there, take a statement and have it signed and leave. That's what our job's to do. Okay? So if you don't do that, then you're not going to be a good investigator. You need to basically sit with a person, take their statement of their pre-injury, the injury and post-injury details. You let them read it. Once we've read it and they've amended it, if they wish to add any information that they've forgotten, we print it on my printer. They might read it again. You let them read it again. They might make some more changes. That's just the way it goes because it is their legal document they're going to be signing. Once they're happy, they sign, and you will be the person to witness their signature, and you leave. That's it.
What do you use to inspect the scene with, Chris?
So to inspect a scene, do you mean as in when we're doing
photographs, video, that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Do you use any of that?
Yeah. So when there's an injury, for instance, if it's a back injury, you need to actually do a proper investigation. So whether it's a bodily injury, they're the psychological ones, very rare, where you take a video or any photos, obviously, but any physical injuries, definitely. You need to go, well, depending on if the person doesn't say over the course of employment. However, even if they do say that, then you need to put a video together of the system of work. So their duties.
We're live.
Excuse my dog.
I'm not editing that out. That's too good. Chris, do they buy their equipment from some special spy shop, or is this just from JB Hi-Fi and Officeworks?
Officeworks, Apple Store, wherever you want to go and buy your equipment, make sure you do use a good laptop that isn't going to die on you because that can happen. And your printer, well, I got that from Officeworks, and they're around about, like when I bought it, I think I bought that 4 years ago. I think I got it for about just over 300. I got it on special, but you can look around and find yourself. But at the end of the day, it's like any business. You're going to invest in the business. You're going to invest in your equipment because that's where your work's going to come from. It's not you talking. It's not you. It's your equipment that you're typing on. So you must make sure your equipment works. No excuses, oh, my printer didn't work and I can't get a signed statement. We must walk away with signed statements. So I'll go into the ISO part as well in the last 12 months. I've been at home since the 18th of March. There's been no face-to-face. I'm still not doing face-to-face. However, they've been great too, but they've all been telephone. Some video, some are uninterested in video, some just want telephone. It's the same situation, it's the same process. You ring that person, you make your appointments, you get on the phone at that time, and you take their statement. So regardless if it's face-to-face or not, you can still do the job. So this job has actually proven to me that it's also pandemic proof. Not only pandemic proof, obviously recession proof. And I haven't stopped working for, right through the pandemic. So it's been fantastic for us in the industry. And I haven't looked back. I mean, I actually had to stop taking work because there was too much coming in. So if you take your job, you're going to get lots of work, basically. Yeah, you're as good as your last report.
So, Chris, in a sort of a back injury situation, or someone's injured lifting or something like that, do you just interview the claimant, or are you interviewing their employer or the workplace health and safety manager or the witnesses? What are you doing?
So first you take the statement from the claimant, and that's with anything. If you can, that's what you should be doing. Is taking the can you hear me?
Yep. Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry. From the claimants, you've got all the allegations and the story of what's happened to that person. From that point, you need to obviously speak to that person's manager, their line manager, and then any witnesses that have been named. Now, a lot of the time you may not get a witness listed in the work cover claim, but it may pop up in your statement, in someone's statement. If that person's crucial and a potential witness to this claim, you must contact them and you must take a statement from them. Now, no one's obliged to provide a statement. However, if they don't want to, that's fine. And if they do want to, great. You do not force people to give a statement. If they don't, you just state in your report that so-and-so has declined to be interviewed because I don't want to. At least
you asked. That's important to ask.
So with back injuries, any kind of physical injuries, you must always speak to the manager first, get down the details of their duties and make sure you get a good description of duties: bending, lifting, squatting, pushing and pulling. That's a major one, pushing and pulling. So you must cover exactly what that person does. So you need to put together a video, and I always ask for another worker who does the same job to do their duties from beginning to the end. Now, there's a trick in taking video, and you must not speak in it. You let the other person do all the talking, and you tell them before you start recording that I'm allowed to speak in the video, only you are to speak, so make sure it flows and that you show exactly what's the system of work.
And they all know that system of work. They're very good at describing it, and it's much better for them to tell you how it goes than you to guess it.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So I'm just going to turn this up because you can hear my emails. Sorry. Coming through.
It's a professional investigator, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't bloody stop. Anyway, so, and that goes the same with a neck injury. How did the injury occur? Is that, you got to look at equipment, you got to look at RSI, you got to look at different things, knee injuries, how did your knee injury. Now, a lot of things are pre-existing injuries, and that's fine. And I always explain to people, even if you do have a pre-existing injury, it's beneficial for us to know, because if that's the case, then that person has exacerbated that injury. But the next thing is, did the employer know that that person had an injury, yes or no? Well, if they didn't know, well, then what do you do in that case? Do you know what I mean? A lot of people say, yeah, but it was fine. I had my treatments, it's been fine. But now because of this, I've done something to it again. So you're going to cop that kind of, commentary from people as well.
Okay. So, Chris, some of the different types of workplaces you've visited, so government departments, health, policing, education, but what are some of the construction type sites? Are they factories, cement factories, or transport? What are they?
You name it, I've been. I know how biscuits are made, I know anything. Yeah, so basically construction is, again, and it's because it's different. It's a different investigation again. So this is what I'm saying, when a claim comes in, it might be back injury, depending on what that person does, it's going to be, you know. So what was the question? Sorry, Mike.
So these places that you visited, the factories and construction sites and stuff like that. So from a workplace health and safety perspective, and a lady, would you take your own boots, because they're going to expect you to chuck on any boots that are there, or would you take your own hard hat? What do you do?
I do have in my boot, I do have all my PPE in there, and I have my work boots in there, and I've got a high-vis vest and a long sleeve jacket, just in case I've got a short sleeve or a tank top on of some sort, because you cannot work through workplaces such as construction and factories with that proper PPE. Now, at the beginning, obviously, I didn't have all my PPE, and you're not going to have it all. I suggest you go and buy it, or else you are sticking your feet in other people's shoes, and you don't want that, okay? A lot of places have got their own high-vis, so whether it's in your boot or they give you one, you can do what you like, but always have your equipment in the car. If you need to measure the length of walking a person does, I still use the old-fashioned wheel, where you can click how many meters that person walks, because it's very important. Not only, yes, they picked up a box that weighed 25 kilograms and what's in it, you still got to also make sure you I was going to say then. Sorry, just gone.
You look at their training, how they were shown to lift.
Yeah.
And
that's right. You got to always gather information. So not only are you going out getting the videos and getting someone to do the system of work of the duties and etc., you also need their training documentation that they've done. So have they been taught correct lifting techniques? Manual handling's are number one, right? How often do they do it a year? Is it once a year? Do they have it twice a year? How often do their modules in their OHS training? Is it a lot of companies do modules every year, and they must pass those modules. So the training part of this job, whether it be a psychological job or a physical injury, that you must have all their training manuals with you. It's part of your reporting. And just don't forget, we are working on behalf of WorkSafe. So we need to get all this information so they can see exactly what the company, if that company has policy procedures in place to keep the workplace safe for all employees. And if they don't have those in place, well then obviously that person hasn't been trained properly. Okay, so our job isn't only to get the information or the story of what happened. Is the company compliant? And that's what we've got to look at.
Now, Chris, have you done, as it required in Victoria for psychological injuries, the suicide assist program?
Yeah, so I did my assist program in 2013, I think it was. And I've used that actually. Now, we did an assist course, which is for prevention of suicide, or how to keep people safe, basically. Without that, you cannot undertake psychological injuries. The reason why I've said I have used it after I took the training or did the training with WorkSafe is because a lot of people are going to say, I've had suicidal thoughts, I try to kill myself, I had the CAT team come to my home and take me in for a few days. So we're going to make sure that that person is safe at all times, from the time we get there, from the time we leave. When all that came out back in 2013, I made sure, and I make it very known to a claimant, to have a support person there, because it's easier to leave that person with someone they know if they do have suicidal thoughts throughout your statement. Now, if someone says to me, I've got suicidal thoughts right now, we'll close the laptop and we will not look at it, because obviously that person is going to be mentally sound to be able to even give you a statement, number one. I wouldn't make anyone sign a statement that was under mental duress like so. So you've got to make sure right through the whole thing and write it in the statement. I've got suicidal thoughts, but I'm happy to continue with my statement, whatever the case may be. Put it in the statement they're going to sign to cover your back. So the last thing we need is someone to complain and say the investigator kept going, didn't stop, didn't ask how I was, and then who's going to get in trouble? You are. So you can always cross your T's and dot your I's, or dot your I's and cross your T's, whichever way you want to say it, and keep yourself, professional at all times. And yes, it has occurred when someone did have actual cuts to their wrists. And I actually did ask that person, what happened to your wrists? And he said that he tried to kill himself. That was his third attempt. So you got to, yes, that was his third attempt. So you need to sort of be strong and think, okay, are you okay to continue with this statement, yes or no? And they'll say yes, or they'll say no. So use your discretion. It's logic.
Now that is not in the majority of cases that you do, but it's there, and it's something we've got to be aware of, and that's why they have that training for it. In most circumstances, everything's okay. Now, is it a dangerous job, Chris?
Look, I've never felt in danger, I'll be honest, but it can become dangerous, I think, if you're not sure of what you're really doing. You've got to remember, we're walking into people's homes that you don't know. They are strangers. But I will give you this. What I've learned over the years is you've got to befriend people. You've got to make people empathise with that person, okay? So if they're saying to you, I've been bullied because of these reasons, empathise with that person. Don't say, oh, okay. You say, what happened? Okay, what happened? Let's get to the bottom of it so we can help process this claim for you. Do you have your evidence? You know what I mean? So you need to befriend people. Is it dangerous? I've never, as I said, look, I've had a few incidences, as Mike would know, but if that occurs, okay, if you do have an incident at a claimant's home and you feel uncomfortable, make the call to the person you're doing the job for. So we all work for firms. Ring that person. I don't feel comfortable being here right now because of these reasons. And then they'll say, cool, Chris, shut shop and leave, and we'll send someone else. So if you don't feel comfortable, ring up your employer or the person you're working for or contracting to, and you tell them. So if I'm in an area which is a little bit dodgy, because you're going to go into areas which are dodgy for me, it's, crime's a little bit higher in that area, back your car into that person's driveway. Have it ready to go. You don't need to leave your car in the street. Because a lot of the time we may do jobs after hours as well. So you're going to walk out of a place and it's pitch black. Have your car very close to you so you can run out if you need to. But in danger that I've been threatened, no. Okay, I've had crazy people, weird people telling me strange things, yes. One that always sticks in my mind in 2011, I think it was. We've had a few, we've all got stories to tell, believe me, and they do frighten you. Just think, is he right? Is he not right? Am I safe? Am I not safe? Take control. Take control of the situation. Say, look, I've been sitting here for nearly 2 hours. I've only done a page when I should have really done 3, 4 by now, or finished it, and we haven't finished. You need to sit down and concentrate and take the lead. Don't be afraid. They are human too. They want to give you their story, but if they're being a little bit defensive or nasty or whatever the case may be, take control of the situation. It's like having children.
What you do very well, Chris, is you use the person's first name,
yes,
politely, with empathy, but assertively. And you do that, and they just sort of get in line when you do that, because you explain you're there to help. Now, by contrast to all that, a claimant can also request a male or a female investigator, can't they?
Correct.
Right. And do you get told that has happened, or is that just something that happens?
I've really haven't had anyone state, I don't want you, I want a male, or, so I think what the firms, once they get to know your personality and how you work, they will put jobs to you that are for you. Okay, they'll say, oh, that'd be a job for Chris, or that might be for this person. So they don't just give them out just, you know, willy-nilly. And I get all the, of course, I get all the, you know, hard jobs, 20-page statement jobs. So, you know, but you get used to it. And again, you need a system, your own system of work. How are you going to do the jobs? How are you going to get it done by the due date? You don't have weeks on these things. You'd be lucky to have 5 days. Now, I have noticed in the last 12 months, we've been given a good 10 days, right? Obviously, they've probably thought about us all in this situation that we're all in and thought we do need more time. So they've been quite good, but sometimes you get rush jobs too. We need it done in 3 days. If you've got capacity, yes, you can do it in 3 days. I've done it, okay? It's time management. This job is all about time management. Don't miss the boat. If you've got an appointment, you keep that appointment. You know what I mean? Unless you're dying. Yeah. You don't get a second chance.
So, Chris, thanks for coming on today. I've used up all the time that I promised you.
Oh, thank you.
That was a really good insight into that. We'll be having you back for quite a few more sessions over the course of this year in our conference programs, and we all look forward to seeing you then. Thanks, Chris.
Likewise. Thanks, Mike.
So today what we're going to look at is the equipment you will use as a factual or circumstance investigator as a licensed private investigator in Australia. Now, it's pretty straightforward, and a lot of that equipment you already own at home. So you do not have to go to the CIA website or the FBI website and buy specialist covert equipment for factual investigation, because everything you do in factual investigation is up front. There's nothing covert about it. The person knows you're coming to interview them, you're coming to see them as a witness or a person that has to cooperate with the investigation from the workplace, such as the HR manager or the safety manager. So you're going to go out to that workplace or to wherever it is where the accident you're investigating occurred, and you're going to take a statement from those people. Now, in order to take a statement in the factual investigation that you're doing, you're going to have certain equipment. Now, it varies between insurance companies and it varies between types of clients how you will take that statement. So workers' compensation investigations throughout Australia, what they like you to do is take your statement on the spot from the witness, type it into your laptop, print it out and have it signed on the spot. Now that's standard practice in every state and territory in Australia. So you will need a laptop computer. It doesn't matter whether it's a Mac or a Windows computer. The type doesn't matter. Whatever you use at home at the moment, you just take your laptop and you have your statement form as a pro forma on the laptop and you type the statement out. You will also need, once you've finished the statement, a portable printer. Now, portable printers are available from JB Hi-Fi, from various electronic shops around the place. You can even order them online. So maximum price you'll be paying for these in 2018 is probably about $420. You'll see them on special occasionally down to $320 for different types. There's Canon, there's HP, there's all sorts of types of portable printer. As you can see in the back here, it's got a battery, and that battery operator, you don't even have to plug it in. It's wirelessly connected to your laptop, and when you've finished your statement, you just send it over to the printer, print it out, and the witness signs it on the spot. Other equipment you will need as a factual investigator are a digital camera. Now, there is no specific type of digital camera that you have to have for any workplace, but keep in mind, if you go to somewhere where there's an accident for a fall from heights, you're going to have to take a photo of that ceiling area or that roof area, so something with a little bit of lens on it does help. But there are all types of powerful cameras now available for $150 upwards that will suit your purpose as a factual investigator. Interestingly, as a factual investigator, you'll also have to have a video camera. Now, I hear you ask, why would I have to have a video camera as a factual investigator? Now, one of the most important things you do in accident investigation work is you look at the system of work that was going on in that place. So a short 2-minute video of the system of work in that area and a walkthrough of that area, it might be a chicken processing factory, and you go through a video of how the chickens come round on a conveyor and how that all works, or it could be a timber mill, how the timber comes into the mill and how it goes through a saw, or it could be something like a construction site where they erected scaffolding, so how they erect scaffolding. You can go through all that just at that workplace where the accident happened. Now, it's not always possible, because sometimes the workplace where the accident happened was a construction site. The accident happened 8 months ago and it's now a building. It's no longer a construction site. But if you can videotape the system of work, you'll be instructed to, and so that helps the claims manager and the lawyers see what actually happens in that workplace. The other thing that you will need is some people, organisations, don't want typed statements. They just want you to go out and digitally record a statement. Now, you don't use a video camera and video the person making the statement. That's not happening in witness statements. What you do is you just get a digital recorder from, once again, from JB Hi-Fi, from any of those type of electronic stores, Officeworks, it doesn't matter where it is. Now, the thing that is really important with that digital recorder, you must be able to upload your recording onto your computer. Now, what happens with that, you'll upload that recording, and most insurance companies will then arrange to have it emailed to a typing service in Manila, in the Philippines, where it'll be typed up overnight for $7.20, and next morning when you get up and you access your case management system to see what's happening with your investigation, there will be the statement you took from the person with the digital recorder the day before, and you take that back round and get that person to sign it, and you give them a copy as well. So they're the equipment that you will need as a factual investigator. There's also other stuff like measuring wheels. It's in your training materials. Other stuff like rulers. There'll be a range of other things. A high visibility vest is really important if you're going into accident areas. Sometimes you'll go to food processing plants and construction sites where you may need gumboots or boots, that sort of thing. It's all in your materials, but the important stuff I've covered today, and I hope that gives you an insight into the fact that you do not need expensive equipment to be a factual investigator. The Victorian WorkSafe Authority like investigators to keep a record of their investigations in a handwritten book. They don't specify what kind of book, but what's really important about the book where you keep your record of your investigations is that the pages within that book are numbered by a machine. So they must have numbers at the bottom of the page, or the top of the page, as in this case. The reason for that is you write it in ink, not pencil. You're an investigator. Same with police. They don't use pencils, they use ink. You write it in ink in the book, and it's a record of your instructions, who instructed you, the time you started and the time you finished that investigation. And it's a really good habit to get into, because if ever you end up in court and you're challenged about how you keep records of your investigations, you'll be able to pull up 5 or 6 copies of the books that you've been keeping over the years and say, I record all of those, and no, I did not make that up last night in my home office and write it in there in a blank space, because all your investigations over the last 5 years or 2 years or 20 years are all listed in books like this. Now, I have several of these books. In fact, here's the first one I ever had. It's a little bit ratty, it's a little bit old. It's full of old licenses that I've had over the years. And up in the corner, I've actually got the first check butt I was ever paid as a licensed private investigator to do a job by myself. And I was really proud of that because it's the first time I did it without working for anyone else. So, I can go back to that book and I can, look at historical investigations I've done. Look, here's one that's really interesting. No, there's a warning there. One thing investigators that you work for as a subcontractor hate is people talking about the investigations that they're doing or that they've done. What's fabulously interesting to you as a beginner is really boring to the people that have been doing it for 15 years. So my advice is, yes, get the book. Do what they ask you to do. Even if you don't work for WorkSafe Victoria, it's a great habit to get into and it will protect your backside if ever you're accused of not keeping appropriate records, if ever you're accused of making up something last night before you went to court and you were going to be cross-examined. This protects you in those cases. Yes, you'll have diaries as well, but this one covers the things, the time it took, who instructed you, who you were working for, and when you started and when you finished that actual case. Your running sheets will have all the daily parts of that. That's important, but this one is a confirmation that you're a good record keeper and the pages are numbered by machine. I'm Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy.